Alright, this is my BALS version 2.0. Shouts out to Phillip Morrison. I saw his deck profile that was based off of BALS 1.0s, and I like what some of the stuff I saw in there. So I wanted to try to implement Tour Guide and Lumina into the design. So I changed up the deck a bit to be able to fit them in. So this is BALS 2.0. So I got Sir, special summons a Burning Abyss monster from the graveyard. This is Graf, special summons a Burning Abyss from the deck. This is Skarm, he special summons, not special summons, he lets you add a level 3 dark fiend type monster from your deck to your hand during your end phase. Tour Guide, this will let you summon any level 3 fiend type monster from your hand or deck, its effects negated. Judgment Dragon, because he's a big beater, and you can do a lot of OTKs in this deck because you have Judgment Dragon, Tour Guide, all the good stuff. Raiden, during your main phase you can send 2 cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard. That's a cost, not an effect. Skill Drain can't negate it, among other cards. During your end phase you mill 2 more cards, and he's a 4-star tuner. Lila, LightSworn Sorceress. You can target one spell or trap card your opponent controls, change this card's battle position, and destroy it. So she's your MST. And during the end phase, you mill 3 cards off the top of your deck. That part is an effect that will get negated by Skill Drain. Felice, LightSworn Archer. This card cannot be normal summon set. When this card is sent from the deck to the graveyard by monster's effect, not a card effect, monster effect. Special summon this card from your graveyard. You can tribute this card, then target one monster your opponent controls, destroy that target, then send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. It's a pretty decent effect. Pretty good, pretty useful. And she has 2,000 defense, so that's not that bad. And she's a tuner, Beast Warrior tuner, so that has some potential, right? Lumina, LightSworn. Summoner, you pitch a card to target one level 4 or lower LightSworn monster in your graveyard and special summon that target. During the end phase, send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. So that's pretty good. If you use her effect to special summon, let's say Raiden, or let's say Lila. So if you bring back Lila with this effect and you leave both of them on the field, that's 6 cards you melt off the top of your deck. So you can get off a lot of effects by doing that. But you can also bring back Raiden or Felice and go into a synchro play, or you could just bring back Felice and just use her to pop a monster and mill 3 cards. So it's a lot you can do. Of course, you can discard a card to special summon a Lumina, discard another card, summon another Lumina. In case you got like 2 Luminas in the graveyard, you could bring them all back, so you can have 3 Luminas plus an extra monster, right? As long as you get discard. You will get the effects of the Burning Abyss monster if you discard them for Lumina, of course. YUGIOH just lets you recycle everything so that we can reuse everything constantly, keep milling every turn, and keep getting more and more stuff. Especially if you use YUGIOH to put everything back, then something like LightSworn, and in your turn, that's you start the mill cycle all over again. Spell Shadowing Arrow. This deals with, helps you deal with pendulum monsters and just any spells and any spells that's, like continuous spell cards, field spells, stuff like that. If your opponent has multiple face-up spell cards, this comes in handy in getting rid of all of them and deal 500 points of damage in the process. I actually just won a duel because this dealt 1,500 points of damage, which was enough for my Acid Golem, my Dante, and my Alucard to end my opponent out in 1 turn. So Spell Shadowing Arrow does matter, you know what I mean? And it'll definitely be good against Crystal Beast. When people start playing them again, this will definitely be good against them. Fairy Wind, same thing, good against the Pistol Beast plus anything else. It can get rid of, you know, Shadow Imprison, Lion Imprison, Pair Iron Wall, Skill Drain, stuff like that. You know, stuff you don't want to be on the field. This will get rid of it for you. And it deals 300 damage to both players for each card destroyed with this card effect, so you can definitely weaken your opponent. Be careful you don't weaken yourself, right? Too much. Rank up Magic, Astro Force. Of course, this helps you rank up and any of your rank 3 monsters to rank 5. So you can do all types of crazy things. Plus, during your draw phase, you can add this card back to your hand. So that's always good, especially in a LightSworn deck, right? When you're constantly milling. Charge of the Light Brigade. Normally, I like to play Foolish Burial because it lets me send, you know, one of the Burning Abyss monsters to graveyard and get an effect off. But just for more milling and searchability of my LightSworn monsters, I decided to use Charge of the Light Brigade because one, I still get 3 mills, so I could potentially hit a Burning Abyss monster anyway, and I can add a LightSworn to my hand, which can also help me get more mills. A typical target probably would be Raiden or Lila, because she's, you know, she's your monster version. You know, she's your monster MST, right? You might be trying to get rid of back row. So since you're trying to get rid of back row, it would be a good idea to use this to get her, then use her to get rid of whatever's slowing you down, and then, you know, make a comeback. Instead of the typical 2 to 3 Dantes, playing only one because I play YUGIOH. So as long as he doesn't, you know, Dante doesn't get bombless, deep prison, or anything like that, I'll be good, right? So one Dante, detach a material, mill up to 3 cards from the top of your deck. That's a cost, not an effect, so it can't be negated. And you gain 500 for every card sent to the graveyard by that, by his effect. If he's sent from the field to a graveyard, you can add a Burning Abyss monster from your graveyard to your hand, except for himself. Typical target would be Sir, so that way you can summon Sir, and when Sir gets defeated, he'll bring back Dante. When Dante is defeated, he'll give you back Sir, and then you got the Dante loop. So it makes a good defense. Ghost Trick Alucard helps you pop face down cards, you know, monsters or spells and traps, so that's always useful. And of course, you can rank it up into Crimson Knight Vampire Bram. Make a equip Engineer. Detach a material during either player's turn. Target one face-up attack position monster you control, and switch it to face-up defense position. For the rest of the turn, it can't be destroyed by battle card effects. So that's a very useful ability. You can rank up Magic, Mega Equip Engineer into Tyrus. That's, you know, Tyrus has, you know, I'll tell you the effects later. One of Zen main, 2100 defense, so that's pretty good, right? And then during either player's turn, if this card will be destroyed by a battle card effect, detach a material so it's not destroyed. During the end phase in which this effect was applied, target one card on the field and destroy it. Typically, you want to destroy back row because your monsters are strong enough to deal with most monsters out there anyway. So you don't need to get rid of monsters. Typically, back row is what you need to get rid of. Acid Golem, 3000 beater. And it's good under skill drain, so you have a free 3000 beater. And a lot of times it comes in handy for helping you do OTKs, so he's essential. YUGIOH Exciton Knight helps you get rid of a lot of things. So instead of synchro summoning or whatnot, you can just exceed. Or if you're in the scenario where you use Raiden's effect, mill 2 cards off the top of your deck, and one of them happens to be Felice, then she spells or summons, right? You can't synchro with 2 tuners, so bang, you can exceed into an Exciton Knight. and clear the field for lots and lots of crazy fun, right? Alright, so this is Crimson Knight Vampire Bram. Detach a material from this card, target one monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon target to your side of the field. But if you do only that monster can attack for the rest of this turn. If this card is destroyed by a battle or card effect, it will special summon during the next standby phase of the turn in which it was destroyed and face up defense. So it's pretty good. It's a floater. Nice little 2500 beat stick floater. Tyrus. Alright, this card cannot be destroyed by card effects as long as it has materials. At the end of the battle phase, if this card attacks or was attacked, target one card your opponent controls, destroy that target. During each of your end phases, detach what XYZ material for this card. Constellar Pleiades. I forgot to mention you can use rank up magic on Dante to make a Constellar Pleiades. Anyway, once per turn during either player's turn, you can detach one XYZ material from this card to target one card on the field and return the target to the hand. So this is usually good to use during your opponent's end phase to bounce, some back row back to his hand or something, or a field spell back to his hand, like Necrobatic or something, like bounce it back to his hand, then it'll be your turn and all that other good stuff, or anything that could be problematic, a monster, whatever. It's good in general, obviously. You could also use it to bounce back your own monsters in case you want to reuse something, in case you're in a position where you're like, you summon Torgai and they Veiler, it's like, alright, detach, bounce Torgai back to my hand, use it again next turn. Constellar M7, just because you can summon him on top of Constellar Pleiades after Pleiades uses up all his materials. That way you can recycle Pleiades if you want, or just recycle anything. Plus it helps, it's the monster reincarnation of the deck basically, because you could detach a material from this, of course, and add any monster from your graveyard to your hand if you want. JD is a good option, of course, or any of the LightSworns or Tour Guide, Exodios, so you can recycle everything, so that we can have your Pleiades back in the extra deck and so forth and so forth. So that's part of why he's in there. So that way you can recycle your that way you can get back your JDs and whatnot. Instead of trying to smash in monster reincarnation to the deck, I just use M7 instead. Gustav Max, get 2 Exodios on the field, overlay, make a 3000, detach a material, deal 2000 points of damage, and of course you can still attack in the turn in which you use that effect, so that makes it extra awesome. So that's potentially 5000 damage in one turn. Michael, LightSworn, it requires a tuner and a one or more non-tuner like monsters. Typically you will use Lumina with like Raiden or Felice to create this. And once per turn you can pay 1000 life points to target one card on the field and banish that target. That's a good effect, the ability to just banish anything, especially back row. When this card is destroyed, you can target any number of other LightSworn monsters in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck. If you do, gain 300 life points for each card return, for each return card. During each of your end phases, send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. Gotta love it. It's awesome. It's an extra deck version of Exodios, basically, right? It lets you bring back all your LightSworns that you have in the graveyard back into the deck. You gain life points, and then you can just start remilling them all over again, right? And then with Exodios, you'll be able to recycle him and just keep that loop going. Black Rose. You could make it with Lumina, any of the tuners, Tour Guides, any of the tuners, whichever works. Black Rose, clear the field. That we can have field advantage, and you can potentially just OTK your opponent right there and then. Because if you have a couple JDs and you did Lumina's effect by discarding a LightSworn to special summon LightSworn, then synchro into Black Rose. Now you got 3 LightSworns. Let's say you already had a LightSworn, so now you got 4 LightSworns, 2 JDs. You drop them, you know what I mean? Or you have 3 JDs, drop all 3, and you just go for game. So this deck definitely has OTK potential. Hot Red Dragon Archfiend. Just in case you ever need it, just in case you're ever in the position. In case for some reason your opponent doesn't attack your Lila, you summon Raiden, you use Raiden's effect mill. You can synchro into Hot Red and use Hot Red's ability to destroy your opponent's attack position monsters and go, attack for 3,000. Colossal Fighter, good defense, because there's not that much defensive traps in this deck. Actually, there's none at all. There's no defense in this deck. This deck is essentially straight up all offense. Your main defenses comes from your Burning Abyss monsters, floatability, your extra deck. So that's where most of your defenses come from. Your extra deck and your Burning Abyss. Which is not too bad because it allows you to build a deck like this. If your monsters can defend you, you don't have to worry about defending yourself with traps and spells and shit, right? So that's always good. So you can go on the offense. And of course, this is good against warrior decks like Satellar Knights. They'll give you a power boost. And that's the end of the deck profile.